Good morning, 7:31 is the time here at West 30th and Lorraine. It's the morning after One Night on the Street, and we're excited to be getting your phone calls at 440-546-2255. We've waited this long. We've waited this long. It's time to talk to our host for One Night on the Street, Brian Upton from Building Hope in the City and Trinity Lutheran Church. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning.
Good to have you here. Long trip back from Indiana last night.
Yes, it was.
But thanks for being here. You have a lot of groups that are involved that come help here at Building Hope in the City and at Trinity on a regular basis. Talk about that kind of a dynamic, because we've had people volunteering in onesies and twosies here. But what about maybe if somebody wants to get a Bible study involved, or a little bit larger group down here?
Yeah, we see quite a bit of that, and it's actually one of the most exciting ways that you can get involved, because you're not doing it by yourself. You're coming down with fellow family members, or with a ministry group, or a prayer group, or a Bible study group from your church. And there's just a ton of ways for a group to do everything from do something at their home church in the suburbs or anywhere else that could benefit urban ministry. They don't necessarily have to come all the way down here. To coming down, a one-time shot where you put your toe in the water as a group and come down and try it one time, to
well, let's talk about that first, because I know every spring you have an event that really does help people in that regard. They can put their toe in the water at City Serve.
That's right. City Serve is one of several servant events that Building Hope in the City offers to groups. City Serve is probably the biggest one. It's about 350 people from across the city working at 20 different urban ministry sites. One day, you just give us 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. We put you to work, we feed you, and you come down, you paint, you work with kids, you prayer walk around a neighborhood, you have a great experience, and then you head back home. But that's often not the end of it, because people get involved.
That was going to be the next
right.
question. Yeah, I mean, once you stick your toe in the water like that, have you found a lot of people who keep coming back for more?
We do. It's kind of like a bug, and once you get bitten by it, it won't let you go, and you find increasingly you can't let it go. And so often those one-time events where a family or group comes down unfolds itself into a group taking on a meal once a month at a church that we're involved with, or feeding the homeless once a month, or feeding kids twice a month, or coming down and adopting an immigrant family that we're working with in one of our missions, and helping that family on a weekly basis even learn what it means to be an American and to live in this culture. And when groups come together like that to do that, it's a powerful thing.
We were talking about the ESL classes just as an example last night, and Nicola Abelamsha was here from Building Hope in the City. I have been able to sit in on one of Nicola and Nadia's classes, and it was just fascinating. And it was, once I found out that the woman who was leading it didn't know Arabic, that even made it more fascinating.
That's true. It's a little-known fact that until you get involved in ESL, you don't realize that most ESL instructors don't know the language to which they're ministering, but the principles for learning the language are the same. So you don't have to know the language in order to be able to make a difference in an immigrant's life.
Give me an example of a church which brought maybe a small group down here that has seen that ministry then grow into maybe more than they originally thought it was going to be.
Sure, I can think of several. The one that comes to my mind immediately is a congregation. They're called Messiah, and they're out in Fairview Park. And it started with just a few people from within the congregation who got bit. And slowly that germ, in a way, replicates itself, and before you know it, the whole congregation has actually signed on with us to be involved in urban ministry for the next 3 years.
Really?
Yes. Working at a variety of sites. They, as a congregation, have committed to making a difference in the city.
All that from one toe in the water.
That's right.
That's a little dangerous, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I love it.
And one of the things that every group can do is pray. The Bible calls us to pray. God attaches blessings to when we pray. And you don't have to come down here in order to pray. You could pray as a group right where you are If you're ready to take the next step in, come down and prayer walk with us around a neighborhood. In fact, we're having a citywide urban prayer service this coming Monday that groups can come down to, and they can pray with urban folks, pray with urban ministries, and learn about the great things that God is doing and the great opportunities to serve.
Is that going to be here in the community center or next door at Trinity Lutheran Church?
It is
proper?
next door in our church building, Monday the 19th at 7 p.m.
And you're really calling people from all over the city to come to this event because you want to bathe these ministries in prayer.
That's right. We've been asking congregations and ministries to submit to us their prayer requests, both their thanksgiving as well as their intercessions. And we're encouraging suburban folks to do the same thing, to bring their ministry requests, personal and ministry related, as God's people just gather together to pray to the Lord for the sake of his mission field here in the city.
Brian, what do you think is the most unique ministry opportunity here at Building Hope in the City that people can get involved with that maybe wouldn't be readily apparent when you visit the neighborhood for the first time?
I think it's, for me personally, it's anything that has to do with our church plants that are going on.
Okay.
We have several missionaries on staff that are working to cross cultures, like Nicola and Nadia Abu Amsha.
Right.
Like
which may result in an Arabic church here within the next, 18 months?
Yeah, it's our intention to. That's the goal of it.
Yeah.
Our African immigrant ministry is just exploding as refugees and immigrants are brought to the U.S. to resettle here. They come looking for the same freedoms and opportunities that we all enjoy, but there's also a huge opportunity to minister to them and to not only help them understand America, but to help you understand where they come from. It's the most amazing thing on Sunday mornings when we come here, our Sunday afternoons when they have a praise service going on and there's all these languages being spoken, praising the Lord, and I don't understand any of them, but it's fantastic.
You know, when we're here, when I'm here with my group and we serve meals here on a regular basis, a lot of times the East African ESL group is downstairs.
Yes.
And just to stand at the door
is
just really, really interesting for me, because then I just kind of bump myself a little bit and remind myself, I'm right here, right in the middle of Cleveland. I mean, you don't have to walk far from these doors to find an incredible number of cross-cultural ministry opportunities.
That can be, you're right, and I think that's one of the biggest blessings to getting involved in the city is exposing yourself, your group, your family to the diversity of God's kingdom.
Yeah.
You know, the book of Revelation paints this wonderful image about how every nation and tongue and creed is going to be gathered around the Lamb and his throne. Well, God is bringing that to pass today, right here in Northeast Ohio, and I think a lot of people are missing out. They don't realize the wonderful things that are happening.
You know, I have had Dr. Larry Marino on my program. He has written a book about the fact that, you mentioned it earlier too, about how people think the mission field is somewhere you have to go and get on an airplane to do it. But really, the mission field is here, as Dr. Marino has said, and we better be equipped to head out into that mission field, whether it's 10 miles downtown or right next door.
That's right. Well, Jesus said to Judea, Samaria, and the ends of the earth. It's not like one is more important than the other. We have to be doing all of them. But we begin, I think, by doing mission well closest to us and then taking it beyond.
Brian, if somebody has been maybe listening yesterday evening, maybe last night as well to the Pastor's Forum, and maybe has listened this morning and they're just about there as far as making that phone call is concerned, what would you tell them?
I would tell them that getting involved in the city and pouring yourself into other people, into other ministries that aren't connected to your home ministry, is good for you as a disciple of the Lord. That you get so much more than you give when you get involved with any of the ministries that have been revealed here. It's more blessed to give than it is to receive. And I think that's the greatest thing that people will experience when they do this.
Brian, thanks for hosting us.
Thank you.
Brian Upton from Building Hope in the City, our hosts for One Night on the Street. We are at West 30th and Lorraine in the Ohio City area, just a couple of blocks from the West Side Market. And we have a number of people who are waiting by the telephones at WCRF's studios in Brecksville for your call if you want to get involved in ministry to the city. The phone number is 440-546-2255. That's 440-546-2255. Besides Building Hope in the City, there are about 36 ministries on the database list that you can become a part of and sink yourself into city ministry. 440-546-2255. 7:42 is the time. Traffic, weather, and a guy wearing a Michigan jacket coming up.